We should probably do like a bit.
I wasn't aware we were recording.
Yeah, no, I was
I'm
kind of
gonna
like,
be real.
no, I just got enraptured by the conversation. I was kind of just like, yeah, what did you do?
Yeah.
Great, we can have fun. Now we gotta focus up. It's week 7. Take it seriously. You know? Welcome back, everybody, to the final week of the main season of Double Dip Draft Season 7. This is the Violet Division recap. As always, I am your host, Spood, coach of the Southtown Sandslashers, and joining me
Is White Loaf, coach of the Loafville Lanterns.
And we have got some pretty high-stakes matches. So going into this, just as a quick refresher, right now the two big storylines are who gets the bye and who gets the 4th spot in playoffs. The bye is still up for a potential 3-way tie, if not an outright grab by the people at the top. Right now, going into this week, Claire is sitting very pretty at 5-1 plus 18. The same win-loss record as IDM and Aurora. All three of them have one loss. All of those losses are circular with each other. So they are up in their own upper echelon. The plebeians below are fighting for scraps, but they are fighting for the bye. Now, Claire situated quite well with her differential to receive the bye right now, but unfortunately she lost to Aurora, who has the highest odds of getting more diff this week. And you want to know why that is?
Because she's fighting Woody.
Yeah! Hoensbrook Hunters! Aurora versus Schaumburg Salamences Woody.
Yeah, kind of similar to where, IDM versus Woody, it's kind of like a, just throwing like a small human child into a den of lions.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the exact same scenario, just, a different lion.
Yeah, I don't know, you could make a nebulous argument that, Aurora struggles more against new players than IDM, maybe, but, firstly, Woody's not new, he's been here for a hot minute. And secondly, I still think that's a little bit loose, right? I think that she still, can execute a ruthless, cold, and calculated game plan on somebody who doesn't have answers, and especially with a draft as powerful as hers. It's difficult. I mean, she could really pick a Mon and do it. And I mean, looking at team preview, I don't know, maybe Hydrapple's the only thing that doesn't instant win if it sets up correctly. Valiant is scary, Regirock with a Terra is scary, Colossal with a Terra is scary, Iron Treads is scary, Dondozo can just curse up on all these physical attackers. And Sleep Talk if it's a Spore Breloom. There's so many things that Aurora can do.
Yeah. It's just pain.
It's
That's all it is.
Yeah, let's not waste your time, man. Let's watch it.
Yep.
I mean, the funny Rhydon is here. I love Rhydon. He's a cute little guy.
I do love Rhydon.
So, okay, turn 1, Scald. No burn, actually, which is pretty helpful.
Yep.
Woody probably should have just gone for a burn or a freeze there. I don't know. Does Flash Fire prevent you from getting burnt? I wonder.
I don't believe it does.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But either way, and no freeze here either.
Yep.
We got the 1 10-turn freeze, and then that was it.
That was it, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, this thing, I was kind of expecting a steam engine immediately, the Terra Grass into the water type move is oh my god, Colossal's about to go big fast. But actually, it doesn't need to go fast, it just needs to Iron Defense twice.
Yeah.
1 special attacker on this team is Lantern, and does not do so well into grass.
Yeah. No, honestly, and this could have been a special Lucario. It actually would have been really helpful here.
Would have been decent, yeah.
Especially considering it does live 1, but at the end of the day, Woody loves his physical attackers.
Yeah. And, it's just a foregone, Dondozo could sit on any kind of setup, even if it was special, because, Lucario doesn't have the coverage to really force it to switch.
Yeah.
Hydrapple could be a problem. There's so many things that just, Again, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to say it was a lock before it even began. but like Aurora has a real incentive to make this as brutal as possible because that is how she gets up to that bye. And now she has like just a little bit of wiggle room into Claire. If Claire wins her match, she does have to win by like a minimum threshold to maintain the bye.
Yeah.
So Aurora gobbled up Woody's diff, and Woody departs from Double Dip Draft Season 7 at an 0-7 record again.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see it. That really sucks ass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. You know, there's only so many ways to skin a cat. Like, I can't really tell you that it sucks in a new, novel way. It just sucks. I feel for you, dude. I'm sorry. Whatever. Greener pastures and more surprising outcomes await if you introduce our next match.
Yep, our next match is Tuhu, Mass of the Togetics, or the Treasure Town Togetics, holy cow. And then Jason of the Hartford Honchkrows.
Yes, so now let's talk about people who are fighting for playoffs just to make it. So Mass mathematically eliminated. He cannot, even if he wins this 6-0, pass Cabral's score. And Cabral, again, even if he gets 6-0 this week, would not fall below Mass. Like, there's a greater gulf between their scores than 12 differential. So, like, it's just he's never going to make it. Because Cabral's sitting there in 4th. You've got 3 locked that are already, like, multiple wins ahead of the rest. So, just not going to happen. Like, Mass can't get it.
Yeah,
but
it's just mathematically impossible. But Jason, on the other hand, does have a chance. I don't believe he's... Is he currently top? Is he currently 4th? I forget.
No, he's not. Cabral's currently 4th. Going into this, Jason's currently 6th. He is sitting behind Milo and Cabral. But if Milo and Cabral both incur a loss and Jason incurs a win by a big enough margin, he can pass both. Milo has enough cushioning in diff to take this loss. Or rather, Milo can lose by a little bit and still get in over Mass, depending on how hard Cabral loses. Or not Mass, Jesus Christ. Over Jason.
I got you.
Depending on how Cabral loses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of, like, it's very possible. And, I mean, the difference in differential being -5 to 2, like, what, it's not like 6-0-6-0 difference. You know what I mean? Like, that's a difference of 7 diff, I think.
Yeah.
That's like a 3-0 and a 4-0. That's like a very reasonable expectation. So Jason very much not out of it. And between Jason, Cabral, and Milo, Jason has the most winnable matchup into Mass instead of having to play someone like Claire or IDM. So Jason actually standing a real chance of sniping that bye from 6th place if he can pull together the win against Mass.
Mm-hmm. And, Mass at this point, like, while he can't win, like, he is just looking at this point to get that nice differential. Sorry, no, you can go ahead and start.
Oh, no, sorry, I was going to go ahead, like, it's fine. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I was like, let's go for it.
Let's do it.
Mass, he's playing for pride, playing for power ranking, playing for lifetime stats, There's a lot of reasons why you'd still want to keep your head in the game, even if you're completely out of the playoffs contention. I know what that's like. Sometimes you still got to just play with your whole chest and hope that you can pull something out. And even if it's just pulling someone down with you, maybe Mass has it in him to pull Jason down. So let's have a look.
Yeah, I'll see it.
Pretty cautious Rotom lead. I mean, I think it's pretty fair. Jason didn't bring any ground types, so, Volt Switch is quite free if you're just trying to pivot and scout.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised at the lack of Volt Switch. I guess Discharge still would have done a decent amount, but
Yeah, I think the Volt Switch
better than this thing being parried.
It does go both ways, right? Because Chestnut hadn't terra'd yet, so you could still guarantee the Volt Switch pivot into something.
Yeah.
And Jason definitely wants to keep the Zapdos alive because it's very good into, like, Enamorus and Corviknight, and arguably Muck, too, if you, don't get toxic.
Yeah. While the crit does suck, we did also dodge, 2 hurricanes there?
2 hurricanes in a row, yeah.
So, honestly, kind of earned a little bit.
Yeah, a little turned. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you'd prefer to hit the, if you could trade that one crit for the 2 hits, you definitely would.
Yeah.
That para, though, does make up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Very telegraphed, though.
The scales are once again uneven.
Yeah, pretty much. Whalus comes in, loses the life orb. I mean, this thing with Hustle actually can put out a pretty surprising amount of damage.
Yeah.
So you're not often going to see it running Eviolite.
Whalus is kind of like a funny one where it's like yes, Hydreigon is absolutely the better pick, but this thing still has like tech that Hydreigon itself does not have.
It's a different Pokemon. It's got a distinct niche, in the same way that like Rufflet can do stuff that it's Rufflet's a lot more like Braviary than Zweilous is like Hydreigon, but like same thing applies, right? Like you give a little guy Hustle and really just amp its stats up, and actually they can go pretty hard.
Yeah.
Now Jason has Toxic Spikes, but not other hazards, and I think that both of these players would have benefited a lot from getting up like an early Stealth Rock or even just a Spike. Because there's a lot of just, I see your guy, I switch into my guy, and then you attack that guy, and then you switch into your guy. It really just goes in a circle.
No, I agree. Especially because when it comes to Mass's team, he doesn't really have a lot of grounded Pokemon. He really just has like Chestnut and
Muck.
Well, yeah, Muck and Dragapult.
And Dragapult, actually, yeah.
But Chestnut is already parried, so it can't be status anymore anyways. And Muck, I mean, it's a grounded poison, so it really doesn't care about the T-Spikes.
So you're only getting the Toxic into Dragapult, which might be worth it, genuinely. I mean, that thing is pretty scary.
Yeah.
But at this point, I mean, Jason has lost a lot of his offensive pressure. Like, I don't really see how he can break this without, like, a Rocky Helmet, Scald Burn type, like, Toxapex deal. And he doesn't have that. Just a spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Carping desperately trying to chip this down, not making a whole lot of progress. Mass, to his credit, has been playing pretty well ever since, I thought that the Chestnut switch was a little questionable at the beginning, burning Terra very early. But ever since then, he's been playing pretty much, exactly how he's supposed to.
Yeah, no, like, honestly, he's been playing really solid. I am surprised at the double, like, Baneful Bunker. I feel like a switch would have made way more sense on the Pain Split, get Carbing's health back up.
Yeah, but that's, like, risky. I can see why you wouldn't want to do that. Although, to be fair, like, I don't really know what Carbink is doing at that health anyway. Unless you really want to preserve your sack, you might as well try.
Yeah.
When you're playing from behind like this, I mean, you've got a Carbink and a Zweilous, and that's how you're doing damage to Enamorous, Dragapult, Rotom Wash, Corviknight.
Yeah.
Like, you need to start making something happen.
Yeah, start making some plays, because at that point, at the very least, like, you could go into, like, Zweilous and try and get something going, but Toxapex is just not going to be able to cut, especially with only T-Spikes and Baneful Bunker.
Yep. And now it is pretty much inevitable, depending on how long Mass wants to prolong this, all he has to do is keep Earth Powering. Depending on how long Jason wants to prolong this, he's just going to keep Baneful Bunkering,
Yep. Yeah, I think this is the match definitely where instead of Toxic Spikes, they should have just been regular Toxic.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would make able to deal with the team a lot better.
Yeah. Would have made it more difficult, at least for Dragapult, Enamorous, and Rotom to sit in and be so bully,
Yeah. But Mass does wind up taking it with a pretty clean 5-0, honestly.
Yeah, very dominant performance, to be honest. Like, he actually looked really, really good there. Did not look like somebody who wasn't going to playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's at least feeling good about that. Like, one win to close out the season, even if he can't make it to playoffs, you have opened the door definitively for it to go to either Milo or Cabral.
Yep.
And I think that's very interesting, because we need to talk about Milo Mega of the Canadian Cottonees, and we need to talk about Claire of the Maryland Manectrics. So here's the story, okay? Claire
Go ahead.
really wants to win this. She cannot shirk this, because even though she's a lock for playoffs, Aurora just 6-0'd Woody. She needs to put a little bit of distance between her and Aurora. And ideally IDM if she can help it. But, she can tie IDM and win that tiebreaker because she has the head-to-head. So it's just a matter of, can I beat Milo with at least a 2-0? Because if you can do that, that puts you ahead of Aurora's differential win-loss, and then you don't have to play that tiebreaker. You know,
Yeah.
and I think play the tiebreaker as like a metaphor. You know, they're not literally playing a tiebreaker game, but like you don't have to mess with the head-to-head record. You can just get in on your numbers. Comparatively, Milo, the opportunity has been opened up. If Milo can win this, then it comes to Cabral to win his game versus IDM, which is going to be very, very difficult. So all Milo needs to do is lock this up versus Claire, and Milo has, again, to his credit, done very well into IDM, done very well into Aurora. When you look at Milo's matchups into like Mass and Jason, for example, lost both of those. Beat Cabral, has not been able to pick up a ton of wins. I believe the only 2 wins Milo has going into this are Cabral and Woody. And the Cabral win is pretty valuable. The Woody win was not a 6-0 clinch. So like, even though Milo's diff is still really good comparatively because Milo kept it really, really close versus the high-level players, this is the time for Milo to pull a win. You can't just go close with Claire at this point because you're out if you don't win.
Yeah.
And you might even be out if you do win, but you're definitely out if you don't.
Yeah, at this point, you need to get, like, a pretty strong win to ensure that, like, you will make it to playoffs. Because if Cabral even wins by, what, like, just a little bit.
Well, so...
Or no, if Cabral just wins in general.
Yeah, I was going to say, the diff doesn't really matter at this point. The thing is, the diff is nice because it would have secured the spot against, like, Jason, because, like, Milo's diff was so much higher than Jason. But now that Jason is out of contention, it's just a win-loss thing. If you win here, you will, your diff, no matter what, will be ahead of Cabral if he loses. If Cabral wins, his win-loss is going to be ahead of Milo. It's literally just, can you win and can Cabral lose? That is how Milo gets in. And conversely, for Cabral, if Milo loses, Cabral can still lose, just depending on, like, the record.
Yeah.
So let's, I don't know, let's get into it. I'm really curious to see how it goes, because right now Claire's holding that bye, and it's everything for her to lose, it's everything for Milo to win.
Yep. I do love the Amiya turn 1 Mach Punch on this thing, but Iron Defense Cobalion is a set we haven't really seen a whole lot of, and it's a little nasty.
It's pretty good, yeah. I mean, the rest of Chesto, this thing is immediately fast, hits very hard, and is very hard to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And Claire opts to basically sack this to the body press, or maybe he was hoping for, like, another Iron Defense, and she doesn't go for the Burning Bulwark.
Yeah, kind of a bit of a surprise there, honestly. Does immediately Terra Fire to make sure we don't immediately die to body press.
Yeah.
And as annoying as a Leech Seed is, though, here, like, I mean, body press is still pretty free.
Yeah, you honestly don't even need to switch here. You can just keep clicking body press.
Yeah. I do respect switching there, because at that point, like, yeah, a new Pokemon is going to come out. Mew makes the most sense, or Thundurus.
Yep.
I don't know if I love trying to get the subset up here, but also considering it's Mew, like, you kind of have to scout. Like, this thing could literally be like
any set. And that knocked is so much damage.
Yeah, good God.
That is abandoned slacking, and it was taking pretty much no damage from the +1 training kids either.
Mm-hmm.
They are both base 100, so it was a potential speed tie.
Yeah. No, as much as I do understand, like, not wanting to switch out here, like, on one hand, like, I feel like having slacking, like, U-turn is pretty nice, but maybe it's not as nice as I'm thinking it is here, because it does resist everything on the team resist it now.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you can't really, like, U-turn in front of Conk because it can Mach Punch you. You can't really get a meaningful U-turn in front of Thundurus because it'll outspeed you and just kill you at that range.
Yeah.
And even Avalugg, like, I guess you can pop Sturdy, but you can do that with a lot of other things, too.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'm really, like, scared there is because, like, Claire has been playing, like, a very heavy setup game, but aside from Thundurus, there's not a lot of Pokemon that can set up here.
Yeah. At this point, now the Gouging Fire and Mew are dead. Like, those are the setup sweepers you'd have to be worried about.
Yeah.
But it's still not a given for Milo. Although it is a lot harder for Claire at this point. Like, Milo needs a clear path to killing this Wo-Chien, and it actually has been putting up a real fight.
Yep. I love the triple.
Why? What are you even accomplishing here? Now, I don't remember. Milo did explain the rationale behind his Hex, like, at a later date. I think that he was like expecting the Wo Chen switch and wanted to get more damage. But that Hex actually saved his life from the mirror code.
Yeah, no, it's so nice to have that. Ruination Mist does suck, but
yep. Ultimately,
at the same time, this thing can't really do too much to it. I mean, I guess it could Earth Power actually. So
yeah, it does get Earth Power, but it didn't use it. You know, and I think his choice.
Yeah.
Boots knocked, but again, another game where we're seeing no hazard play, so it's just, you know, it's pretty much just seeds. And I mean, look at this Wo Chen, by the way, going back up to full health from being at like a 20 earlier.
This Wo Chen has like that weird lump on its back. That is not like its little shell or anything. That is the pain it has suffered from carrying Claire so much this season.
It's a big bruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Wo Chen has been a fantastic pickup for Claire, and she's used it to great effect. And I mean, you know, say no more, look no further than this game, where it is pretty much the one thing keeping her in the game.
Yep.
She still can bring it to a good endgame with Thunderous, but like she does need a lot more chip to make that happen.
Knockoff not doing anything really because no more item.
Yeah, Throat Spray got used earlier.
Yep.
And Milo would love the Throat Spray right now.
Yeah, the Throat Spray would actually be so nice right now, but here we are, unfortunately. Now at this point, after seeing like the Protect and like going for Earth Tower, like I feel that like Thunderous is a pretty obvious one, so you know, going for Dragon Pulse would have been nice.
Yeah.
Stab still does a decent amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like Claire better playering Milo a little bit. Like, I think that you would be ready for that, but I don't know, like you're kind of timid about it, you know what I mean? Like, I understand why you wouldn't want to make that call, but Milo does make the correct call damage.
Yeah.
Milo opts to Dark Pulse and Claire opts to Dark Pulse and she is forced to sack the Thunderous. Now we are down to just a roughly half-health Avalugg and a roughly half-health Wo Chen.
Yep.
And this is still not quite over, but it's... I mean, this Avalugg is just a sack at this point. Like, all you really have is Wo Chen.
Yeah. No, it is just about over. You know, getting the seed on this thing and, like, you know, being able to just knock off for free is, like, pretty prevalent, but it does go for Protect. Yeah.
Yeah, her Protect were really telegraphed, and I mean, it was hard not to. Like, you could knock in hindsight, but that's really scary. You're hedging your whole game on getting that right, whereas you can still do this and guarantee more, like, health back.
Yeah.
And maybe this was the safer play, but just with that Pokemon loss, she does lose the bye. And now the result of this game does not quite matter for Claire, because the thing that she hoped to gain from it is now gone. For Milo, though, Milo is kind of cooking and is in a winning position because this next body press takes out Wo Chen from 15%. And Milo pulling off an actual, honest-to-God, big, nasty upset. Finally putting the really close games in this season into the right context of, I can do this. I can beat Claire. I can beat IDM. I can beat Aurora. Milo with a huge glow-up. And now looking very poised to grab that fourth playoff spot if Cabral cannot put an end to it.
Yeah, no, it basically all comes down to Cabral. And speaking of which, like, it's time for his match. Cabral 095, coach of the Slinging Aegislashers, versus IDM, coach of the Brussels Espeons. I mean, like we said, Cabral has to win this match now, basically, to solidify his chances of getting into playoffs. He doesn't necessarily have to win, I guess, but he has to, like, make this be a very close match.
He does have to win. He does have to win.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right.
Because Milo's diff is so good that even though they'll be at the same win-loss, like, if Cabral loses by any margin, that puts Milo ahead. And conversely, because Cabral has one more win than Milo, going into this week, not anymore, they're tied if you count, like, Milo having played whatever, right? So, going into this week, Cabral has the win advantage as far as, like, win-loss goes, and Milo has the differential advantage, and also the head-to-head, if it comes to that, but it won't. So, having seen how the rest of the games in this division played out, there is no longer any kind of messing around with differential, there is no longer any kind of messing around with head-to-head. you know, really the only thing you can get is a potential IDM tie to determine like seeding. But at this point, like Aurora has locked in the bye. Actually, no, I don't think Aurora has locked in the bye, has she? Because IDM can theoretically 6-0 this and then win the tiebreaker into Aurora. So not actually. But as soon as IDM loses a Pokemon, he loses the bye in that same way. So that differential matters. But otherwise, Cabral is fighting for his tournament life. If he wins, he makes it to playoffs. If he loses, he's going home.
Yep. So with that being said, I think it's high time we get into it.
Let's have a look. Now, IDM, obviously a titan, a juggernaut, but Cabral has been known to make some last-minute upsets. He did last season beat Scoots, which solidified his playoff shot, so not impossible into IDM. And you see this Bramblegast off to an incredible start.
Yep, and with that, IDM has just immediately lost the bye.
Yeah, that's true. The bye's already gone. Now Aurora gets it, no matter what.
Yep.
Sandaconda does actually make it so that Bramblegast cannot two-shot with the Terra and the Coil, but IDM is forced to basically sack something if he wants to keep a potential Slowking safe for later.
Yeah. The Para does suck a lot here.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, Leavanny doesn't have speed anyway, so it doesn't end up really mattering.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I actually don't know if I like webs here at this point, because really you only need webs at this point for Raikou.
Yeah. Honestly, that's true. I don't really know what else you get from, like, I don't think Cabral lost anything from that. He did get chipped on Metagross, which I guess is bad, but I don't think he could have killed it in 2 shots anyway with Leavanny.
Yeah.
So, you know, neither here nor there.
Trick Room and the burn here does kind of suck, but ultimately, like, this burn is whatever.
It's like body press, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
The rest of it's like special moves.
Mm-hmm.
Sets up a future sight. Big scary. One more turn of Trick Room. IDM does not have a direct psychic move, but does have a Scald and does clinch the second straight Scald burn, which keeps this thing alive, notably.
Yep.
And IDM wisely gets the hell out of there with his still living Slowking to protect it for later. Cabral opts to sack this into the future sight because he knows that Bramblegast goes fast and hits hella hard.
Yep.
And it's doing that.
If it was not for that burn, like, that Slowking at least would be dead. But because of that, this thing doesn't manage to cinch the kill on Ursaluna, and with that, it is kind of a done deal, I fear.
With the benefit of hindsight, you know, Cabral could have won this, like force the 1v1 into this Slowking with, you know, by sacking Metagross into the defense drop on Headlong Rush, and then, what do you call it? Being able to, like, Power Whip it after. Unfortunately, not what happened, and his moveset on Metagross is not equipped to deal with Slowking, and because he got Scald Burnt earlier on the Zapdos, it does not clinch the kill when it needs to. If Slowking were not around for this endgame, that was a wrap for Cabral. Unfortunately, the Scald Burn, in hindsight, was the thing that clinched it for IDM.
Yep. And unfortunately, that is just the way that the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yep. You know, Kenneth likes to throw around the term IDM plot armor. I don't think it's necessarily fully accurate often, but I think in this case there was a bit of divine providence, you know, in IDM side.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Very unfortunate for Cabral. I mean, an incredibly good, very tight game into IDM. Again, a juggernaut of the season. This would be a reason to celebrate, even though it was a loss.
Yeah. The 1-0 is still incredible.
Yeah, unless it cost you your playoffs, which in this case, it did.
Yep.
So let's talk about the Violet Division end of season rankings, standings, huh? Let's do it, because they are very interesting and have shifted quite a lot compared to Week 6. Why don't you take the top 4, I'll get the bottom 4.
Alright, so at the very top, with the bye, we do have the Hoensbroek Haunters, Aurora. Second place, we do have Brussels Espeon, IDM. Third place, we've got Maryland Manectrics, Claire. And in fourth, we do have Milo of the Canadian Cottonees, managing to solidify their spot in playoffs.
Yeah, first time that they've made it to playoffs. This is their first, playoff season. I think that they're only their second double dip season at all.
Yep, I believe so.
Huge. Bringing up the final four in front, we've got Cabral of the Slinging Aegislashers in 5th. We've got Mass of the Treasure Town Togetics in 6th, and Jason of the Hartford Honchkrows in 7th. And last but not least, we have Woody of the Schaumburg Salamences at 0-7 minus 34. Marginally better performance than Season 6, believe it or not.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, Violet Division. That is painful for Claire. That hurts a lot. Losing that bye, especially into a bracket that has so many killers in it in playoffs, you really, really want that bye. Aurora, very thrilled about having a bye, though. She has not gotten a bye into round 2 of playoffs since we introduced buys, and she tends to. I don't think she's even been in a top 4 since like Season 3. I'd have to double check that, and in fact, I will while you talk.
Yeah, I mean, being able to just not have to worry about the first week of playoffs is just such a huge relief. It really lets you kind of just relax for a little bit, kind of think about especially if you're a player like Aurora, you can kind of plan out your next team based off of what the outcome is.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of guess who's going to win between the two, and obviously at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a 50-50. Regardless, worst comes to worst, even if you're wrong, it's just okay, cool. Well, now instead of having 2 weeks, I have a standard normal week.
Right.
To think about it. And even then, with Aurora, she could probably just build 2 teams and not really suffer that much there.
Yeah. And I was wrong, so Aurora did make it a top 4 in Season 5, so my bad.
Okay.
But, still, she tends to, in the earlier seasons, she was a top 4 staple. In the modern seasons, outside of Season 5, she has not been able to do it. So this is really nice. It doesn't guarantee her a top 4, but it does make it a lot more likely.
Yeah.
That's a great buy. That does, unfortunately, for the other players in the other divisions, put IDM and Claire in the round 1 pool, which is very scary.
Yep. I feel bad for whoever has to fight one of those two.
Yeah, wouldn't that suck?
Yeah, that would suck so much.
Yeah, isn't that terrible going to playoffs? You can tell me what it's like. Anyway, yeah, Violent Division. Ending with a bang. I think against all odds, I would have expected, truthfully, if I were a gambling man, I would have thought that Cabral was going to go on as of week 6. But Milo honestly clutches it, and finishing with a 3-4 plus 4, that's a pretty damn good record, especially into a division with IDM, Aurora, and Claire.
Yeah. No, I mean, Milo, he played his best, and, despite this only being his 2nd season, he managed to get into playoffs in, a very stacked division, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, that felt really good. I don't think that that's a fluke. I think Milo is... Well, I'll just say Milo's not 24th on the PR anymore. I think that speaks for itself. But I think Milo is going to be a player that you are going to have to watch out for going forward in the next following seasons. And I know Cabral is going to have a fire under him because this is the first time he's missed playoffs since he made it the first time. So,
yep.
And that stings. I know what that's like. So,
yeah, that sucks.
He's going to be grinding for that one. I think next season, if things go a little better, he has a little bit more time to devote to it. He's going to return in full form as a real threat and a real nuisance. And Mass, too, looking just marginally better every single season. He does just a little bit better. He's inching his way towards that playoffs. I know it is coming. Unfortunate that a 3-4 minus 8. I mean, you tied the win-loss of Cabral and Milo, but just unfortunately, that diff. You got to tighten that diff up.
Yeah. And Jason also, not a bad showing this season either, honestly. Managed to play, make some really good plays. I think, honestly, the biggest problem with, Jason is, sometimes he spent a little too much time cooking or maybe made a few mistakes in team building sometimes even.
Yeah, I think he definitely lets it rock. He does, he relies a lot on things that aren't fully accurate. We saw that kind of bite him this week with the hurricane misses.
Yeah.
But, he is a smart player, and when the chef cooks, I mean, sometimes it comes out pretty nice. There's a little gourmet in there, especially,
Oh, yeah.
That Zuelas into IDM looked ridiculously cool. I don't know. I think Jason, in the right place, in the right time, he's going to be a playoffs contender for sure. He's already been there once, and I know he can do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Woody, I appreciate you playing this season.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, playoff bracket 2024. Whoa! Let's talk about it. Okay. So, the playoffs bracket, we have in the round 1, we have got Claire versus Nick. Oh my god, it's you! It's the Maryland Manectrics versus the Loafville Lanterns. Winner has to fight Scoots of Dumblespood's army. That
both those people I hate fighting
is really difficult. Yeah, that's a super hard branch. I feel for you. That is tough. Next branch we have
just my fucking personal kryptonite. I can't touch him.
Dude, me too. Scoots and IDM kill me. It is the worst.
Yeah.
We've got Snake versus Black Captain. Both of them, actually, their very first playoff season, so very cool they got matched up into each other. Snake, the Miami Milotics, Black Captain, the Martian Mantines. Black Captain has been with us for many seasons now. This is finally his first run where he's gotten into playoffs. Really, really exciting. I'd love to see how he does in the Snake, who is coming into this season from Clodsire Cup, which is a different draft league that Mask and his friends ran.
Yep.
His performance there, fairly decent. His performance in Double Dip, I would say better. I feel like if he's still kind of just dipping his toes into this for the first time, he's got a very promising future.
I agree.
Black Captain, though, I mean, he's an old head at this point. Like, he's going to be one to topple.
Yeah, especially, walking around with that electric terrain
Iron Boulder,
with Thunderous and fucking Iron Boulder.
I do really want to see Black Captain versus Aurora just because that is terrain hell. That's Quark Drive World, and I just kind of want to see how that goes. But very interesting stuff. I'm very much looking forward to that. The third, fourth, we're going down to the lower bracket. Go ahead.
I was gonna say after that, our third and fourth is Brussels Espeons versus the washed up Wishy Washies. Kenneth, your brother.
Yeah, my flesh and blood.
Yeah.
The winner has to fight Vincent and the Hairlin Haluchas. Yes. I think that is the most terrifying branch, if I'm being completely honest. I think
branch sucks.
Yours is hard, but like IDM, Kenneth, and Vincent, these are people that solo seasons, like straight up, and like 6-1, 7-0,
Yeah.
That's gonna be hard. IDM has been trying not to take this season as seriously. Kenneth has had, a lot of other stuff going on in real life. A lot of Johns, basically. Both of these guys are coming pre-prepared with excuses for why they lost, so it's very exciting. I would say the dynamic is very interesting. I would expect that if IDM wins against Kenneth, that's going to be really hard for Vincent. I just kind of get the vibe that, like, IDM is going to, be a much more difficult fight for Vincent, even if they're all, like, roughly on par with each other as far as, like, skill level. Just something about the IDM Vincent matchup, I don't know, it's just calling to me as like that one's crazy. Whereas I think Kenneth versus Vincent is going to be a really exciting match. I wouldn't know how to call that. IDM, I feel like if IDM can make it past this first match, which is going to be difficult, him versus Kenneth is actually a dead even 50-50 win rate. They're 2-2. So it's going to be interesting to see who swings that in their favor. And I don't know, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting. And our final two is Don't Drop That Dendendes Bananas versus Milo Canadian Cottonees. Winner has to go up against the Cracked Cricketoons.
Not Pimp.
Yep, not Pimp. And Cracked Cricketoons, not Pimp. Like in the off season, that was his first season, and he dominated.
Yeah, he did so stellar, and he literally only lost to Cabral. I think everyone else he beat.
Yeah.
But you have to consider also, Bananas came in during Season 6 and dominated that season. I believe he only lost to Claire in the main season and then beat her in playoffs. So, Bananas went absolutely nuts last season. And even though this season's not looking as crazy dominant, him versus Not Pimp is going to be really exciting. I think that's going to be sick if that happens. But Milo is right now punching way above his weight. And having just gotten a win on Claire to make it into this bracket at all, you can't let your guard down. You really, really can't.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing how far Milo can fly. I just hope, the wings don't burn up too soon.
Yeah, let's temper our expectations, but root for your boy. I think that's going to be a very exciting branch to watch. I honestly think all of the matches top to bottom are going to be fire, especially the week one.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree.
but I think
Just do me a favor. Don't watch Lowville versus Maryland Manectrics. Just shy away from that one.
Unless
I'll tweet about it.
Yeah, well, we'll know if you hear Nick.
I'll post a video after.
Yeah, that's gonna be really sick. I'm so excited for week 1 of playoffs. I think these are gonna be some explosive matches. I think that I think we're in for a real treat for the top end of this season.
Yeah, I very much agree.
But as far as the main season is concerned, that is the end of the Violet Division. Thank you so much for joining us these 7 weeks. It's been lovely having you, Nick.
Thank you for having me.
As always, feel free to check out the companion videos to this one for Teal and Scarlet Division. You should totally check out Scarlet this week. That one's poppin'.
Don't watch Scarlet this week.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your lives, and we will see you, or at least I will see you, for playoff round 1 coverage.
Oh, I'll see you. I'll just be watching the stands.
Yeah, you'll hear me. You're not gonna hear Nick, but I've been promoted to content guy because I didn't make it to playoffs. So,
Yay! Content guy!
Content guy, yeah! All right, prepare yourselves for the best playoffs coverage of all time.
I look forward to it.